I'm Tom Hale, and I'm an automotive artist, a former automotive designer, stylist. I spent 20 years as a stylist for General Motors, Chrysler, and American Motors. 1985, I quit 20 years in the business and became a full-time artist. So that's been 32 years now that I've been a full-time artist. Absolutely love it. It's a whole different world from corporate life. But my dad worked for Chrysler when I was very young, and I used to go with him, and my dad would represent Chrysler and go to the dealer, so I would ride with him. And I would sit in the showrooms while he was doing business, and of course he was doing it with the dealership owner, so I was allowed to sit in the showrooms and look at the cars, wonder how all these things were designed and why they designed the way they did. So that started my interest in curiosity about design and why something looked the way it did. So I was drawing all the time. Every day I was drawing, and instead of going to parties and going out with the guys and everything, I would stay home and draw. And ultimately, I wanted to go to art center school in California. I was in the Navy at the time doing a portfolio. I was living on a destroyer for 2 years, and so I would sit in a little office and draw cars, and I sent my portfolio to Art Center, and they wrote, I'm desperately waiting for this response. They sent me a letter and it says, "We're sorry to inform you, but you show no potential." I mean, it was so blunt, I just couldn't believe that all my dreams up to that point in life, and they tell me I have no potential. So they said I could reapply in 6 months, and to forget about color, they'd teach me that, just draw black and white. So I did reply, and I got in on probation. I got accepted on probation because my high school record was not too great. So that came back to haunt me. So finished Art Center, I got a degree, got honors, got hired by General Motors, and so that's what I've been doing ever since 7 years old. I just loved automobiles and, the beauty of an automobile, so that's what I've stayed with this whole time. Being a designer and having a design background, I know that when you look at something like a Duesenberg, for example, that the car itself, the whole car when you walk up is just overwhelming. It's spectacular. It's glittery, chrome all over it. And people just get blown away with standing in front of a Duesenberg and looking at. What I know and what I get excited about are all the little facets of that design. Aside from the whole car, there are just areas all over that car that are beautiful. And so I started recognizing this and starting making compositions out of a grille and a headlight or a fender and the reflections that go into all of that. And that's what really intrigued me into doing mostly paintings, not of the whole car, but of just little areas of the car itself. And that kind of became a signature for me. I always wanted to contrast the precision of an automobile with a loose, abstract kind of a background. I thought they complemented each other. So I did that for quite a while. And then one day, I had some reflections in the side of a hood of a classic Chrysler Imperial. And my wife said, "Well, why did you put that tulip in the side of the hood?" And I said, "That's not a tulip, it's just a red shape, but she saw a tulip. And so as I'm sitting there working on a painting, I'm thinking, flowers are one of the most incredible things in the world in terms of just pure color and beauty. And an automobile is one of the most incredible things that man has created. And I thought, what a combination. One is all mechanical and the other one's all organic. And so that's what kind of intrigued me, the combination to start to put the fluoro images in with the cars and reflecting them into the car itself. This is an example of a recent painting that I did. It shows the combination of the tightness of the car and the accuracy of the car, because the People that own these cars, they know them almost as well as they know their kids and their wife or whatever. They know how many bars are in the grill, for example. So I need to make that very accurate. This is an Auburn Boattail Speedster. So when I do a painting of the car, and I work back and forth from the background to the car, back to the background, kind of trying to integrate everything. All of these shapes here that you see, they're all reflections that have been created, not based on any photography or anything, but based on my knowledge about surface development and the possibilities of what you can do with reflections, both in terms of color and shape. Then I take the background and I try to keep the backgrounds very loose without depicting anything in particular, like maybe some bushes, maybe some trees. But I want the viewer to have the opportunity to imagine various things on the painting, whether it be the background or whether it be the car. Some people might wonder what these reflections are or imagine them to be something. So the combination of the tightness of the automobile, the looseness of the background, and to try to integrate both of those is what's really important to me. One of my favorite paintings that I created was in 1980. It was a view of a detail front end of a Duesenberg. And I had always submitted my paintings to important shows in the country for some credibility on your biography. And I had sent one painting every year to the American Watercolor Society, sent an image of it to try to get in. They would have 1,000 to 3,000 entries. And I got rejected for 7 years. I send in my one image, send in the money in the form, reject. So, but I kept going. And so one year I got accepted with this painting called Chrome. And they sent me the acceptance letter and they would like me in New York for the show. And so we were determined to go because this was a big deal, you know. Then I got a follow-up letter and said, congratulations, you won the gold medal. And I had to call a friend of mine and say, well, what is the gold medal? I think it's a high award. Well, it was their highest award. So this was the 113th year that they had the show. So in 113 years, the only automotive piece that ever won the gold medal was this one. And now they're up to about 100, well, that was 1980s. They're up in the 140s or almost 150. And to this day, there has not been an automotive painting that won the gold medal. So that was really exciting. Automotive fine art struggles with museums and high-end galleries because they associate it with the commercialism of the automobile and the renderings and the advertising that has occurred over all the years with the automobile being a commercial product. So it's given a little bit of doubt to automotive fine art as being fine art. Here was a fine art event, purely fine art, and I won their top award with an automotive piece. So that was what really impacted me. I always wanted my work to be unique. I didn't want it to be influenced by other artists. And I would see some artists doing some wonderful work, and there are some out there doing some great stuff. And you know, you get this idea in your mind, somebody does a really creative painting in a unique way and think, wow, I'd like to do something like that. But then I correct myself because I don't want to mimic something that somebody else is doing. So I've always tried to keep my work totally unique and not being too influenced by museums or other people, what they're doing.